Hello and welcome to today's YouTube video. I have a tournament game to show to you, and in this game I had white. So for the next 3 videos, including this one, will be recaps from the tournament which I played yesterday. And I don't think I personally played well in this tournament, but I did actually gain rating, which I thought was surprising. But yeah, I had white in my first game, which is always a good thing to see since I prefer white nowadays since I play the Jobava London, which is the most fun opening in my repertoire in my opinion. So this follows the main line up to here, and then we deviate to c5, and I simply play e3. I think this is what Naroditsky recommends, so this is what I play. I used to play e4, which is what the Hans Niemann chessable course recommends, but it wasn't very practical for me, and I wasn't doing very well with it. So this is a completely fine line, of course. It's probably more tactical and probably more dynamic, but I don't care. I just follow what Naroditsky recommends because he did a very in-depth analysis for this, and I trust his judgment. Bortnick as well. So yeah, I played e3 here, and my opponent made a big mistake with knight to c6. Now, if you watched my video yesterday on how to play the Jobava London system, you'll notice that playing the 2 knights against the Jobava London basically loses on the spot. And this isn't very different at all. The e-pawn isn't pushed, and now he took away his only resource for defending the c7 pawn. And this check doesn't work because now the bishop defends the b5 square. So I very simply played knight b5 here, and it gets labeled as a great move. Good job to me. It is the main idea of the opening, and I'm winning material by force here. Now the top move here, as some of you may know if you watched yesterday's video, is to play e5, striking back in the center, but that gets very tactical, and usually you end up winning more material. Usually end up winning 2 or 3 pawns there. But yeah, this is already completely winning. So he gives a check, and I instantly play c3 since it was the only move. I mean, I didn't need to think at all. c3 is the only move here. Queen a5 doesn't defend against anything, so I played it instantly. Even in a rapid game, I don't really care. So my opponent made another big blunder here with bishop g4. Obviously, he attacks the queen, so maybe he thought it was forcing. But this is one of those moves that you learn to avoid once you're a beginner. Another big thing is like bishop check, and opponent plays c3. You kind of just made the check for no actual reason. So I very simply play f3 here, and now you may notice the bishop is hanging, and also this fork is still hanging. So I am technically doing a double attack right now with f3. And also you may notice that my past 3 moves were all labeled as great moves, which I think is funny. Great move, great move, great move. So that's very nice. And my opponent, literally right after he played this move, like over the board game, you're not supposed to talk to your opponent at all. And my opponent, right after he played it, says, "F it, we ball." Yes. In an over-the-board tournament, he said that to me. I'm not joking. So obviously, it's a terrible move. I mean, castling into like where all my pieces are looking at, you're hanging a piece. But I find the top move here, and I really have to give myself a pat on the back here. This was a very professional move, and I played bishop c7. Not taking the free piece, but spotting that I can attack the queen. And you may notice here, the queen is trapped. The only move to save the queen is b6, but I have b takes c5 there, and I am just absolutely crashing through. But my opponent plays a more natural move, queen a6, which appears to save the queen, but it does not, because some of you may know that, yes, my bishop does protect my knight, but it also x-rays the queen. And with that little observation, we can very quickly make the tactical move, knight d6 check, discovered attack on the queen. Best move. Now king takes c7, and I take the queen, and he takes my knight, and I take his bishop. All these are top moves, so good job to me for making the best sequence. And now, in this position, I kind of just have to untangle my pieces, and yeah, it's a little more difficult than it may seem. He does have 2 pieces for the queen, so he's not like completely lost on the spot, although computer does kind of think he is completely lost on the spot. It's +5 here. So I play g5. I'm not giving away the pawn for free, so I just play g5, and after knight e4, I protect the pawn with knight to f3. Of course, it's not absolutely necessary, but I thought this was a nice way to untangle my pieces and get my opponent to make a few moves. So yeah, I just castle here, and my pieces are still a little bit tangled. He can take the pawn, but trading is always good for me. I'm up a queen for 2 pieces, so I'm fine with that. So my opponent plays h6, which was a good move. Obviously, I'm not going to take. I feel like that gives him changes along these files that I don't think are necessary. So I actually shut everything down with g6. I think it's a good move. Computer agrees apparently, and he does f takes g6, which, I mean, you may as well take a free pawn. So nothing really to laugh about there. And I play knight back d2, kicking away his best piece. And then he very simply retreats back to f6, not trading. Good principles, but principles can only get you so far when you're down a queen. So I played what I thought it was a very professional move, which is queen to c2. I am attacking the g6 pawn, and I'm also threatening e4, cracking open the center, which again is good when I'm up a queen. So yeah, he defends the pawn with g5. The computer calls it best, but it's nothing special. And I very simply play e4, and the computer agrees with me. I mean, I think I actually played very well this game, even though I wasn't really feeling that great. I just feel like my calculation was a little bit foggy yesterday, and I'm not completely sure why, but that's just how I felt. So yeah, d takes e4, and obviously knight takes e4. I need to open up the center, and this is a nice way to do it. And here, my opponent actually made a little bit of a tricky move, knight to d5, and I didn't really see it immediately, but after a little bit, I'm like, wait a minute, he's threatening a fork. So I defend it with rook to e1. The computer just isn't phased and just wants you to attack, but I just defend the fork, and he plays king b8. I'm assuming he's scared of me opening up the c file. Also, it gets out of a tactic with d takes and c takes, and now this is pinned. So you kind of have to deal with that as black, which is unpleasant. So that is why he played king to b8, I think. But I just take anyways, and takes, and now I play queen to a4, forking the pawn and the knight, and he defends the knight with rook to c8. Now I just take the pawn, nothing too complex to explain here, and my opponent plays knight to f4. Now I give a check here and just win another pawn, but I was actually a little bit disappointed in myself right here because I did blunder a fork, but after a little bit I was like, wait, it doesn't matter, I'm still up so much material, and it literally thinks the sequence is best still, even though you lose an exchange, but that's okay because of one very important detail. I am pinning the knight to the king. And that's very important because that's essentially what wins me the game. So yeah, rook to c7, which I didn't think was a good move at all, and I very simply play rook to e6, putting pressure on this pinned piece. So he plays rook to d8, best move, and I think I played a very professional move here, queen all the way back to f3. The reason I think this is better than queen to e4 is because it defends the d1 square, so I don't have to ever worry about any checks along the d file. So my opponent defends the knight with king to b7, and I very simply play b4, threatening b5 in one move. So he defends it with a6, and I recreate the threat with a4, again threatening b5, attacking the pin on the knight. So yeah, my position is very easy to play, and his is not. So yeah, he plays king to b6, which is funny because it doesn't even unpin the knight, because now the rook pins it rather than my queen. Of course, I could probably go in for some checkmate here, but I wasn't too worried about that at this moment. So I simply move forward with c4, again threatening this. Because in this position, if I go here, takes. So nothing too special to worry about there, although it is still winning after c4, which is a deflection tactic. That didn't happen. We had king up, and I played c4, again recreating the threat of b5. So my opponent plays rook e7 here, which is straight up blunders like everything. But I chose a different approach here, again, just winning everything, essentially. Just a different way to play than mate. So I give queen e3 check. The reason this is inaccurate is because there was mate on the board, but I was like blind at this point. I don't know why. Again, my calculation was a little bit fuzzy, but he does block the check with rook to d4, and I just take it. This is pinned. I can just take it. So yeah, after I played queen takes d4, he's like, oh, and he resigned. This is why I recommend the Joe Baba London. I mean, it literally got me a completely winning position on move 5 over the board. What more can I ask for from an opening? I mean, it's so awesome. Knight b5 gets looked over so many times, which is weird. Over the board, you would think people would be more aware of this threat, especially after I basically stopped their main idea of stopping knight b5. Yeah, it's a very practical opening, lends itself very good chances, and I mean, I played 3 great moves in a row. I mean, just look at how I perform, and you all know how bad at chess I am. So, yeah, I mean, if I can play 3 great moves in a row, you guys can play like brilliant moves in a row. I mean, come on. But yeah, anyways, I like to go over accuracies and estimated ratings. So I had an accuracy of 88.4, very, very nice, and my opponent had an accuracy of 69.1, very nice. I don't know why I actually had a sub 90 accuracy. I only had 1 in accuracy, so computer is always very mean to me. Not very nice, Stockfish. But anyways, on to estimated rating. I had an estimated rating of 2,000, and my opponent had an estimated rating of 1450. I think these are a bit skewed though, since I do have the ratings in, and I did put the ratings in before I did the game review. And I think the rating estimation feature on chess.com takes that into play, which I don't think is very good. But yeah, thanks for watching today's video. Hope you learned a bit more about the Joe Baba London system. I highly advocate this opening. And yeah, don't forget to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.